What is the secret to unlocking your full potential? What makes your idols any different than you? How do you become the person you've always wanted to be in life? This is where you get all of your questions answered. My name is Justin Shank, and I sit down with some of the most epic individuals who are changing the world with their actions in business and in life. We discuss how they did it, why they pushed themselves, and more importantly, how they were able to focus on continuous growth to achieve their dreams. Welcome to the Growth Now movement. So this week, I decided to do something a little bit special for you guys with the podcast. As you know, last weekend, I hosted the first ever virtual summit that I've ever hosted in my life called the Growth Now Summit, and it was absolutely amazing. And what I wanted to share with you guys here on this episode was the pre-kickoff show special that I did with two of my favorite people on the planet, Chuck Balsamo and Terry Weaver. So I want you guys to check this out. There's so many incredible nuggets that you can take away, so much good information to instill into your life, to your business, and so much more. And then if you want more of this type of content, we have hours available for you. All you have to do is head over to gnmlive.com/virtual. The summit itself will be up for another 20 days or so, so make sure you go and see all of that content, and then I will reach out to you once I see that you purchased a ticket and we can connect as well. So gnmlive.com/virtual. Really looking forward to you hearing all the content along with this little special part that I'm sharing with you guys here on the podcast. Can't wait for you guys to check this out, check out the summit, and hopefully we will connect in person soon. And here we are. But yeah, I mean, I want to talk to what some of both you guys said, right? Like, Chuck is an encourager. He's somebody who I've truly surrounded myself with to encourage me every time. And I've said this forever. Every time he FaceTimes me when I answer, because as both these guys know, I'm not the greatest phone answerer.
We'll talk about that later.
Terry, he answers all my calls. I don't know what the problem is.
It's not true, by the way. I don't answer anybody's call. And actually, my voicemail says that. But the reality is, like, every time I talk to Chuck, he makes me feel like I can run through a brick wall. And I believe that every human being in this world has a superpower. And if Chuck had a superpower, that would be encouraging and lifting people up and truly making you feel like you can run through a brick wall. Thanks. And Terry is a guy who I would jump through hoops for all the time, because he's somebody who jumps through hoops for you. As he mentioned, he's not a morning person. Well, he's here at now 8:30 his time, but he was also the keynote speaker at my event, opening keynote speaker at my event last year, which was like 8:30 in the morning after we were up till like 1 in the morning or 1:30 in the morning. So, somebody who's willing to say, hey, look, like, I'm a big deal. Like, I do a lot of great things. I work with people in Disney. I do this, I do that. But to do this for you as my friend, I'm honored. I'm honored to know both of you. And obviously to Terry, to pitch something for Terry here, the thing is an event that really brings together amazing people. So if you're looking for a high level weekend, it's actually coming up in November. So
we're actually trying to do it in person because I'm a crazy person. And because my event is different than yours. And that's one of the things, I think it'd be fun if we talked about this, because a lot of people average people would look at us and go, you guys are competitors in a lot of ways. You guys have similar missions. And you guys probably shouldn't be working together, because that's kind of the spirit, the way a lot of people think, that when you work with other people, that you're going to lose customers, you're going to lose opportunities. And I think it's just the opposite. And so, for me, I'm definitely doubling down on as many relationships like this as I can. Yeah. They've been what's got me through this season. They've been what has, I think relationships, I believe I even said this last year. And it was something I literally just kind of had an aha moment about, maybe even like on the way to the thing, that I truly believe that we're all just one relationship away from a different life.
Yes.
And, I think for me, if you want to look at the things that have gone really well for me throughout the course of my life and business, it always comes down to a relationship that I invested in with nothing, expecting nothing in return. And then that blossomed and grows. And, I mean, and I'll encourage just everyone, because I know this is kind of your launch for the event. When you attend events, the best thing you can do in any room you're in, whether it's virtual or not, is just show up and serve.
Yeah.
And, I always look for the people that are serving rather than the people that are there to sell something. Because it's really quickly, no offense to my MLM friends, but the biggest opportunity you have in life is to build relationship and invest in people. And if you keep doing that and you bring more value to them than they get from you, you'll always have a line at the door.
That's good. That's good, Terry.
No,
Justin,
I love that.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I was going to jump in on that. Terry, just like you, I think the greatest thing I've picked up in COVID is relationships. I think some people just went away. They just became invisible, and my heart hurts for them because I understand. Justin, I know you and I talk. We faced that temptation. It's been draining, right? So, in many ways, but you have to keep going. You have to keep putting yourself out there for others. And so I kind of have the newest idea I've ever had, and it's this statement: increase synergy to make collaborations possible, right? Or collaboration in singular form. But synergy, Terry, like you were talking about, you have to operate from an abundance mindset if you expect to be kept around. And synergy does depend on things like character, EQ. If you're easily offended, you're going to be shoved out of a lot of circles. If you're jealous, if you're needy, it is said that, the needier you are, the more difficult it is for you to climb, and, professional skills, experiences in life, you have to become a giver in your relationships. And the sooner you can figure that out, then you can start to create real synergy. And as long as you don't care about collecting money, and you've got to leave a lot of money on the table, you've got to not make a lot of asks, and you've got to give and give and give and give and not care if it ever comes back. And that is a hard principle to operate in when it comes to creating synergy,
Yeah, no, and I'm going to add to that too, because as you guys know, a lot of what I talk about is give first without a condition. I think a lot of times when people give into something, they go, okay, cool, I'm expecting this on the back end. Like, I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me, and immediately I peg them as the people who they're trying to give me something so they can get on my podcast, so they can at my event, so they can do all of these things. Look, guess what? We smell it a mile away.
Yeah.
And so I want people to really stand back and reflect on who they are and what do they bring to the table. A lot of times when we're operating from a scarcity mindset, we're unsure of our superpower. I just mentioned both of you guys have superpowers, and I realized I never said Terry's. But Terry's superpower is collaboration. I've seen him make magic with so many different people. And so we all have a superpower in some way, shape, or form, and we have to identify that. And part of what I want to really get through with people on this day and a half long 2-day journey is, what is that? How do you clarify what it is your superpower is? What is your give? What is the thing you're going to give to others to lift them up? Not to receive back, but to lift them up. And, there's been so many great relationships in my life that I've been able to build just because I come from a giving standpoint, right? Like, we talk all the time about building that one. I mean, I think somebody typed down what Terry put. Garrett said, just one relationship away from a different life. And Terry said that earlier. I always point back to Fabio Viviani, who was one of the keynotes last year at my event. And he was a guy who I was like, I need to be friends with him. And so I came at it with like, hey, how can I give? How can I give? How can I give? And I had him on the podcast. And afterwards, I found out he's exactly like me. And he ended the conversation with, hey, who do you want to interview? And he went on to introduce me to 50 individual people that are super high on everybody's list to get. And it changed the pacing of my entire podcast. And so when you look at that, how can you approach something to give. And this is a guy, talking about Fabio, this is a guy who he doesn't need any help. He doesn't need somebody like me to help him in any way, shape, or form. But the reason he doesn't need help is because he gives unconditionally. So let's talk about that a little bit, just because it's so passionate to me. So Terry, for you, what does giving look like to you? Because I know you're a giver. So how is that, number one, what's it look like? Number two, how has that impacted your business?
Well, I think, one of my favorite leaders is a guy named Andy Stanley. And Andy has this core principle that says, do for one what you wish you could do for everyone.
Yeah.
And I talk about that a lot, and people kind of look at me like that's a weird sentence. And it is a weird sentence. But here's the deal. A lot of us make rules. Like, Justin, you have the goofy rule that you don't answer the phone.
Yeah.
And I always leave you a voicemail. I know you never listen to them. But if I call and get your voicemail, my goal is to fill it up. Because the best thing that would happen in your life is if people could never leave you a voicemail again.
True.
So I'm going to do my part. But yeah, man, I think it really comes down to looking at the people that are in front of you. And obviously, we all get, if I had $1 for every time somebody wanted to pick my brain, I'd be Oprah, but that doesn't mean I always say no either. I do my best to show up and to serve and to help but sometimes I think what we forget as part of generosity, and this has been a hard thing for me to learn this year, that it's the things that we say no to that really allow us to do what we're really meant to do. And sometimes that no that you say no to is, time wasters. And I know this is something that like Gary Vee talks about, and people give him a lot of crap about it. But I'm amazed at the amount of people that have seen every episode of Tiger King, but yet haven't had any time to start a business. Mm-hmm. If anything, 2020 has given us time. And like we all kind of had, like 2020 is a lot like losing a friend, right? We've all grieved things we've lost. I mean, and Justin, I know you're well into this with like when you put together an event, it's literally like pouring your heart and soul into something. So literally when both of our events were canceled in May, I know I had this moment where I was just looking at it was like losing a friend. It was like I had built the coolest Lego project. I had invited all my friends to come over and see it. And 5 minutes before we got there, somebody came over and kicked over my sandcastle. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us have had those experiences. And I think, I've had to say no to just to kind of the mental internal lies that we tell ourselves. I'll sell your merch for you. I love your new line of merch that you've come out with, Justin. And mindset is one of those things that, I come from as a person of faith. Yeah, as you product placement. But dude, I come from a place where I've always written mindset off as like people that like weirdos and like people that like, sit in rooms with Nag Chamba and candles. But, mindset truly is the people that have had an abundance mindset, the people, and I love the idea of the growth mindset, right? That, the people that have had that level of like thought process, they've powered through this year. They're the people that when I talk to have had literally the best year ever. The majority of like my friends, the one thing that they've like really been struggling with has been they just miss traveling. Like we just miss going and seeing other people. But, for the most part, we've been able to help and serve just because, like what's the hack or what's the like lesson you can learn is you just do it. You just say, regardless of everything else that's going on, I'm going to show up and bring value to people and try to help people who I know desperately need it. And, for me, this has been a heavy year, right? Like, if you feel like you've spent a lot, I feel like I've spent a lot of time, I think of Fabio, dude, it's been awesome to watch that dude, hello, if anybody has taken it in the shorts, the restaurant industry has this year, and it's been amazing for him to serve and to not even pivot, because that's a word I've heard a lot. But really what most of the successful people I know that have done this year is rather than pivoting, they've doubled down on their core values. They really haven't changed a whole lot other than the things that they already were awesome about. They've really leaned into, and Fabio's done that. He's a giver. So, Fabio's cooking and doing what he does. He's just doing it on camera.
Right. Yeah. And he's pivoted in a major way. Him and I were texting earlier on, and the amount of money that he told me that he was losing a week was
insane.
Blowing. And then beyond that, the idea of like, he was cool. Like he knew he could always look, if he loses everything, then this is kind of a true entrepreneur. If he loses everything, he'll rebuild it. Right. Now, Terry, you were talking about choosing when to say yes and when to say no. Chuck, I wanted to bring it to you, man. What's kind of your rule of thumb? Because I know that you get approached from all angles of opportunities. What's your rule of thumb of saying yes and no? So funny. What's going to happen is you're telling everybody on this feed right now how you're going to say yes, and they're going to come at you. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, actually, I can answer that and keep myself safe. I think I finally figured it out. And I will say that is, Justin, that is a tough thing because you don't want anybody to ever feel like, I had to take back your key card to give it to somebody else. You don't have access. Access for me is respect, right? So I always know who my mentors, my peers, and my apprentices are. And I categorize people like that. There are people that I'm training and teaching. They're apprentices. There are people who are my peers. And I posture myself accordingly. I don't try to act like the guru with a peer. And then I posture myself underneath of mentors. Now, when I meet somebody, I try to look for people when it comes to establishing a relationship. I try to look for people who are running the same pace as me. My wife and I run marathons, and when sometimes somebody in the beginning of a race will start going past you. And for me, I'm like, I'm going to go try to run with that person. And after a while, I realize they're running a faster race and I have to let them go. And the reverse happens. Sometimes I'm running a faster race and people have to let me go. But I've realized over the years that people struggle with letting go. Insecurities keep us glued to people. It's like using my gift to encourage people is great, but I have to know when I'm overdoing it. I think you can hug someone to death if you're not careful. People have given me their cell phone number over the years. And there's some people where I'm like, wow, it's great to have their cell phone. I could be like some people and I can overuse it. I can call them like crazy and show all my friends. Look whose cell phone I got. And early on in life, I used my gift to encourage lots and lots of people before they were famous. Now I have all their cell phone numbers and they're famous, right? But over the years, I didn't abuse that. And I think I was willing to let people go on, even when they gave me access to their life. I was willing. Fabio is a great example. I met him and I thought, God, I'd like to be friends with that guy. And you were, Justin. I was jealous of that. But I let it go. One of these days, I'll be with him in one of his fortresses in Italy, and we'll be hanging out. Maybe not. But the key is I want to keep developing myself. And so what happens is I just give and give and give to anyone who will let me. When I'm rejected, I move to somebody else. Sometimes when you're really using your gift, you will get rejected a lot. People will make you feel like you're just some clown. You're just some loser, but you just got to keep doing it to everyone who comes into your space. You just keep lending your energy. You keep developing yourself and giving. And over the years, you start building up this giant arrangement of people. And you look around, you go, oh my God, what could happen with a circle like this? It takes a while. You got to be patient, right?
Yeah. No, I love all of that. And so I want to encourage people who are being active in the chats. First of all, thank you guys so much. I'm talking about in the virtual hub. So please drop any questions you may have for any of us, whether it be myself, Chuck, or Terry. Drop questions. I do want to get to some of them if they come through. And anybody watching on Facebook, if you're interested in this, I dropped the link to purchase a ticket for the rest of the event, which is literally a day and a half of incredible content like this, keynote speakers, networking opportunities, live entertainment, yoga, meditation, whatever the case may be. Go ahead and click that link. It's only $29. Like, it's all about being affordable. And here's something that I'm saying, and this is not me trying to be like, oh, please buy a ticket, but this is the point of what I've been building. I've lost thousands of dollars on this virtual event. That is the reality of this, because it's not about money for me. I could have made it an elite thing and said, hey, look, I'll collect the the few and say, I've made money, or I could have said, hey, look, here's an opportunity for people to learn from some of the most brilliant minds I've ever connected with. And that's why it's $29. So click the link and join us if you're watching on Facebook. But I want to go to some things that are happening here in the chat in the virtual hub. People talking about how this time of COVID, and over the last 6 months, by the way, what's the meme that was going around? Like, happy 6-month anniversary to flattening the curve. Something along those lines. Yeah. So obviously a lot of changes happen for a lot of people. Yes, we can use the word pivot. Yes, we can use the word submit, as I've seen many people do during this time. They've given up. They've lost their way. And they're really trying to find a new path. So what's it been like for you? And I'll go back around the other way. So Chuck, you first.
Okay.
So what's it been like for you? You're launching a company right now, and I'd love to hear some. I was supposed to hear before everybody else, but if you can give me a little.
You're hearing it before everybody else. Yeah, we were supposed to talk this week. Justin, I wanted to have like a one-on-one with a few people, but we've been just working to the last minute. I am excited to be talking about it today, but it fits right into this conversation because one of my clients, one of my best, most successful clients. He has a $150 million company in St. Louis and just a straight up champion. And about a year and a half ago, he had lost a contract and about 200 people's jobs were on the line. And I had this idea that I was sitting on for a few years. And I said, okay, I got an idea for you and you can use it and you don't owe me a single penny. Just implement it. And we had that conversation. He was excited. Well, something else happened he didn't need to implement. COVID hit. He sends me a message. He goes, Chuck, that idea, its time has come. I've got PPP money right now. I need to put some people to work. I'd love to launch this company. It's your brainchild. I want you to be the CEO. Let's form a partnership and let's launch this company. And, I think to myself, how did that happen for me? Because I do want to make this about those people in the feed, just like I think you're trying to direct us to do, Justin, like any good host would. And I would just say, I don't want to just be like, life is so good for me. Like my life was going like this and it went like this. I said it in your event last year that I felt like I was on the verge of it, but I was still dreaming inside of a box and didn't realize I was going to be completely outside of that box when I did finally launch, right? And so the idea is that, and I wrote this down on my iPad, there isn't a big win in every relationship, but if you provide enough value to enough people, at some point you'll spark with someone and make fire, right?
Yeah.
I wrote that this morning. And with Tom and I, we are making fire. And so since then, we launched a company called Backyard Studio. And a lot of people feel like this is kind of a pitch here, but it's kind of cool, right? A lot of people, Justin, because you're in the personal development community, a lot of people feel like a hamster in the wheel. We go to a conference, we get good ideas, we go back, we try to work, but we truly do wake up like it's Groundhog Day. You talk to so many people, and dissonance is their disease, the distance between the dream and the reality. And they live there. The dream keeps getting bigger, and they move the bar a little bit. But it's like we race to false finish lines. And I think it's because at home there's family, there's entertainment, and the urge to rest. In the workplace, there's sluggish coworkers pacing you down. And being a productivity guy, I've spent 25 years helping high performers push through distractions and get the life they want. Justin, Terry, how many times guys like us doodle our plans. We're buying all the latest new apps and, we're just constantly getting everything into productivity. I used to shop at Staples more than I did for groceries, and then now it's Amazon buying the latest, things. And with Backyard Studio, we obliterate distractions and by giving people a calm and inspiring ecosystem for their dreams. This is the ultimate vehicle for your future, right? So what we do is we clear the pathway, meaning that pretty much anything is now possible. And because, the statement I think that we're going to share with the world is that everyone deserves an undistracted place to build the life they want. And so we've built studios that can be placed in your home. We deliver them. We wire them into your house. We do full installation. You order in about 3 weeks, the unit shows up. We're using the highest materials, absolute luxury. It's like parking a Ferrari in your yard. I envision people looking out the window at it a few times. Everything is going to be smart enabled, LED lighting, colors, mood set, heating and air conditioning. I mean, just top of the line. And so that people can go out there. I picture people still having their morning routine, drinking their coffee in their sunroom. But there's going to come a point in the morning after they shower, hopefully, that they get dressed for success and they go out into their backyard studio. 40 million, actually 50 million people prior to COVID were working from home. We're building an industry. Doesn't exist, and only a few competitors. So we're really excited to have this happen. Here I am sitting on, a venture that has an upside of $500 million or more, and that's less than 5% of the market share. So, yeah, that's what we've been doing in COVID. Flying back and forth to St. Louis, have an amazing team there, my partner's company. And we are actually just putting our website up today, backyardstudio.com, shameless plug. So,
dude, but here's the main thing, right? Number one, greatest idea ever. You guys can sponsor me, send me a studio for free. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
But with that being
that's not easy, but I'm going to think about that. And I already have. Go ahead.
Love it. So I was joking, but if that happens, that'd be amazing. With all that being said, this happened during COVID. This happened when every single person said you can't, right?
Yeah.
They went on to build. Actually, they used it as an opportunity. There's so many times where these things become great opportunities, and that's something that I talk about a lot. I'm going to talk about it in the opening talk. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, make sure you get your ticket. We launch at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Where we're going to dive into so many great things, right? And so, Terry, I want to switch to you, and I want to talk a little bit more about the understanding of what is happening right now in the world. Because I love when Terry speaks, by the way, about this type of thing because it's super deep, right? And the idea that what's happening in the world right now, how is it affecting people, and what can people do now to make sure they're rising above, or making sure the people they support are rising above? Because look, suicide rates are through the roof. Drug use is through the roof. Things are really bad right now. And I'm not talking about having to wear a mask in the Acme, right? So let's talk a little bit about, I don't even know why I said Acme. I haven't been in an Acme in years. Let's talk a little bit about that and what you're noticing in the world and how we can pivot.
One of my favorite leaders that I was on a conference call with, a guy that I actually wrote about in my book, Making Elephants Fly. We were on a conference call with some other leaders, and he referenced one of my favorite childhood toys, and I was like, what am I going to, the Etch-a-Sketch. And it was one of my favorite toys growing up. I don't know if either of you guys have one of these.
Absolutely.
I did.
And 2020 has been... Exactly. My iPad is my new Etch-a-Sketch, right? But the amazing thing about the Etch-a-Sketch is you could create whatever you wanted to on here. And then when you were done with it, you just shook it and you started over. 2020 has literally shaken the world's Etch-a-Sketch. And we have an option to either look at mourning what we've lost or creating what's new. And there's a huge opportunity there, right?
Great point.
We can either look at all the things we haven't been able to do and do. There are many. That we all have things that we've wanted to do, things we wanted to accomplish, places we wanted to go. And I watch people talk about those things on social media all the time. And I think one of the saddest things that I think I've seen, it was even, and I won't call them out by name, but someone that attended your event last year that I follow on social media now, and they were kind of talking about their life and just how much they realize they dread their job.
That hurts.
And
yeah, I hate that.
Life is a series of decisions, right? It's a series of getting up every day and deciding what life's going to be about. And I know, Hollywood and the real world on MTV was like that for my generation. But all of these things have supposedly defined what life is supposed to be like for us, right? And, you know, like, you know, you look at the Bachelor programs, you know, which, you know, for me, I kind of watch because it's sort of like watching a televised train wreck. You know, you're just kind of watching for the carnage to see what happens, you know.
Makes you feel better about your life.
Yeah, dude. It's like, I love the show Hoarders because, you know, like all of a sudden my office is real clean. But, you know, seriously, though, when you watch like The Bachelor, like your expectations about that, but so many things that we've like romanticized and we've made into other things, they're just decisions. You know, it's like, you know, people talk about, I'm so miserable. Well, being happy is a choice you make. Obviously, you know, like mental health, dude, I mean, it's exposed a lot of things. And I think that's what, if there was like a theme to 2020 that I've been kind of looking at, like, what are the things that I've seen consistently? And one of those, it's really just exposed who people already were. That's what crisis does. It just shines a light on what you already were. And if you were generous and helpful and serving, man, you're going to see a lot of people showing up because you were generous. If you were fear-based, nobody wants to be around, you know, in a bunker with a bunch of scared people, you know? And so, you know, and I know this has become kind of a phrase that we've used a lot, but in one of my mastermind groups, probably like, I think we had a mastermind call on the first day to slow the spread, you know, of the 2 weeks that we were doing this, remember? And, you know, one of my people, I'll just say it was Aurora Gregory, who's speaking at the thing and one of my favorite human beings in the world, you know, and she said, you know, what does this make possible? And man, you know, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about all the pain going on in our world right now. You know, I feel like we're more divided than we've ever been. You know, racism is still exists. I live in the South. I promise you it does. And, you know, there's all these things. And what I've kind of noticed, and I thank God for the snooze button on Facebook. But when you start, you know, we've all heard that Jim Rohn quote that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And most people spend the most time right now with social media because that's their human connection point. Yeah. And a lot of us are hanging around a lot of people that are seeking division. And for me, one of the things I've done in 2020 is I've turned off the news. My mother-in-law came to spend a couple months with us for the winter, and she got here at the beginning of December. And she spent the holidays with us. In January, our family went to Jamaica. And then after that, she was about to go home. You know, and right now she's at my sister-in-law's house for a couple of weeks. But like she's wanted to watch like every newscast and every like, you know, broadcast and like the president's 90-minute press conference every day. And I was like, whoa, this isn't like getting us towards where we want to be. Knowing all of this information. And I think a lot of us have tried to really hoard all of this knowledge and all of these things that don't make our lives better.
Yeah.
And for me, relationships, like, you know, the people that we talk to. So I've thrashed that out of my life and put in conversations. And I do call people, even though, you know, Justin doesn't answer the phone. I literally, when I have a downtime, if I'm in my car or whatever, I leverage that time to just start calling my friends who I know that are leading at a high level. And Chuck is awesome at this. So I'm just checking in with people that are living it like, you know, there's always, you know, that there's always people that are going to find a way to like step it up a notch. And those are the people that I want to be gravitating towards. Yeah. And I think, you know, if you want something deep and something like deep out of the Terry well this morning, Justin, is change the people that you're doing life with and find people that are going deep and find people who are going where you want to go. And hop on the train with them and find people who are pushing you to be better. And that's been one of the other significant changes I've made this year is people who are challenging me, people who are calling me and going, and you know this, Justin, I feel like I'm someone, I play pretty big. but I want friends that are challenging me to play even bigger.
Yeah.
I want friends that are pushing me to even more. And, we can't serve everyone, right? But here's where collaboration.
I want to stop you there, because what we're talking about now about surrounding yourself with the right people kind of leads to a question that we got that I want to go deeper on. And the question is actually from Michael Hartman, and he says, what are your thoughts on the best approach to building your network of people outside of your relative community from other states or countries?
I've got a good answer for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think, Justin, this is a shameless plug for you from me. And I don't know if you're still offering the VIP. I don't know how you have this set up, but even for the future with VIP, I think, well, first of all, I want to be real clear, because we all have, I think this is a personal development conversation. So this is about my mental wellness. This is about me growing so I can help the most amount of people. It goes back to what Terry quoted from Andy Stanley. I do for one what I wish I could do for many. We only have so much energy. We have to protect it, but we also have to give it. So we have to look at relationships, because all that matters, right? Some friendships transcend commonality of purpose and level. There's some people we're going to be friends with the rest of our life. And I think that should be noted. In other words, we give them permission. We don't have to be growing on the same level. We don't have to be doing the same things. We don't have to both be entrepreneurs. We don't have to both own a backyard studio. but there are other people that to collect people. I think for me, it's been a matter of what Terry said. I'll call somebody up on FaceTime, and I always do FaceTime just because I'm a visual person. I have called people in their underwear. I can't tell you how many times. I've called people with bedhead, laying in their beds, in the shower with the phone held outside, because I FaceTime people. And I'm like, hey, I only have 2 minutes. How's it going? Boom, boom, boom. And I just encourage them, add value, boom. Instead of making like 5 calls a week, I make like 30 to lots of people and just make a difference. And then there are some people that it's natural. I think when you're building a relationship, I'll say one more thing and I'll be done here, is I always look at like the 50% line. How much energy am I giving to this relationship? Now, if somebody is down and out, I have a moral code that says help the person who has nothing at all to give. You're getting nothing in return. That's a biblical concept. So I will give to anyone who needs it, right? Even Jesus was selective with his inner circle, right? And so when I'm building relationships that I'm going to draw synergy from and with, then there has to be a certain level of give and take. If I'm the only one providing value in the relationship, at some point it starts to feel not natural. If the other person is the only one building value, then at some point it feels uncomfortable for them. And I think for me, I pay attention to that energy. Where is it natural? So I think we mess up when we force relationships. So to collect relationships, I think being in this feed right now, these people are all talking to each other and they're talking to me. I'm seeing these people's name, Freddie Vasquez. I've seen him before. I've actually met Freddie. Joel, I'm just looking at some of these people in here. Cammie, Karen Anderson. I know Karen. The more I see their names.
Who doesn't know Karen?
What's that?
I said, who doesn't know Karen?
Right. Everyone knows Karen, right? She's the real Karen, right? And so the thing is, like, you just have to keep that in your peripheral vision. And as you keep providing value and you keep encouraging people naturally move in closer, and it shouldn't be forced.
Yeah. And I think too, I mean, we briefly touched on this in the beginning, if not a little bit more than briefly, is like, look, like you build these relationships by giving. Like, who are you trying to reach? What circles are you trying to get into? Give your superpower. Like, there's a massive benefit to doing that. Whether it's, I just felt, you might not get the reward you expected, but you're going to feel good. And that's the end result of all of this. So I have a big ask for everybody watching right now in the virtual hub. If you can go over to my Facebook page or Terry's or Chuck's, because I believe it's on theirs now too, go comment on the Facebook feed, tagging 3 to 5 people you think need this event today. right? So not only are they going to be able to get it today, they're going to be able to get it for 30 days. I'd love to pack on 20 to 30 more people onto this list so we can impact as many lives as absolutely possible while we're doing this. So go over to Facebook, tag a bunch of people in the comments for me. And look, we talk about your inner circle and how your inner circle is going to evolve. You really like people. You want them to remain in your inner circle. You're doing the work right now. You're doing the work to level up. You've signed up for this event, and you're going to really reach a new level as long as you take action after this event, right? So bring your friends with you. Go have them sign up. On top of the $29, they actually get 30 days free in my mastermind that I run with Mark called Purpose and Movement Mastermind. So massive value there. And I hope to see all of your friends here a little bit later today. But I'm loving this conversation. We have about 10 minutes left. And I really wanted to touch on with you guys, like, what are some tips that you can give people to get out of a rut? Because I think a lot of people in this world right now feel like they're in a rut. Whether they're not or they are, the world is telling them that they are in a rut, and so therefore they feel like they are. So what are some tips? Terry, I'll start with you, about 5 minutes or so. What would be the tip for individuals to get out of their rut?
Get a mentor, get a coach. Stop trying to think that you're the expert on everything. I mean, what's really interesting about, we're all spend so much of our time looking for new and next, right? When in reality, the things that make people successful haven't changed for decades or centuries. I mean, the idea of being the one that shows up and gives the most value, that's not my idea. That's Zig Ziglar's idea. You know, like, it's not like we have some secret book to success. Well, there are a few of those that we can recommend, right? And some people are like, I don't necessarily have the money to invest in a coach. And my answer to you would be, you can't afford not to. The second thing I think I would say is, the next thing you need to be doing is learning and growing, but not for the point of learning and growing. I think even in my own self, I've had to say no to a lot of learning lately, because there's a lot of things I've learned that I don't need to know, that I need to build a team and people around, that I'm just not good at those things. I'm outsourcing everything right now that's not in my zone of genius. I'm trying to build a business around that concept, that I'm not spending time doing things that I'm not great at. Because I think what has been my biggest barrier to growth has been trying to be a bootstrapper and like wearing that like a badge. And I know you and I have talked about this, Justin, that you know, so the simple answer is dream really big and start going after big, audacious, scary, massive things, and don't try to do it alone. And if you try to do it alone,
that's right.
If you try to do it alone, you're going to fail.
I love that's right. Chuck, what about you?
I would say exactly. I've been just, you know what it's like on these interviews when it's multiple people, you're keeping a bunch of stuff in your head. And I'm like, don't do it alone. What I'm going to say to everyone in this audience, I mean, the big theme for me in my life right now, I'll be talking about this for months. Synergy is where it's at. You can lean on others. You know, in this time, I think it is important you take a look at your list of friends. I have a few things I've picked up over the years from mentors that I keep very dear to me. One is I spend time with people I can learn from, enjoy, teach, or profit with. That's not an elitist thinking. If you really take a chance to break that down, it covers all the moral bases, but it protects you from spending time with people who are negative, tearing you down, tearing others down, not going where you're trying to go in life, not a fit. And so the other thing is, I think you should make a list of everyone in your life, categorize them as neutral, negative, or positive. And you've got to spend more time, create more space, going back to what Terry said, for the people who are positive in your life. Even send them a letter, a card, or a gift and say, you are a positive influence in my life. I want to spend more time with people like you, no pressure, right? The other thing is that builds on that is specifically, and if you're on here right now and you've tuned me out at any point in this, now is when you need to listen, because this is the value that I'm intended to bring to this segment. And that is this. Look for people in your circle who you can have a meeting with where 1 + 1 might equal 3.
Yep.
Look for the opportunities to collaborate. Do not go alone. I think a lot of people, we've been developing ourselves and not realizing there are other people by the law of the degree of separations that are right there, that the two of us could get together, meet somewhere, fly somewhere cool, meet together, put a whiteboard together and go, I've got skills, you've got skills, we like each other, let's do something together. Is there something we could come up with where 1 + 1 would equal 3? That's what Tom and I did with Backyard Studio, and that is what I want to see more people have the opportunity to do. So there it is.
I love it. Look, here's the thing. This conversation has been incredible. I've enjoyed everything about it. I feel super amped up now. Like, you guys know me, I'm very transparent. I was extremely not nervous, but a little anxious about starting this event because it's something.
Butterflies are gone.
Yeah, just like anything, right? So like super anxious when I first started because I focused on the tech and selling tickets. And now I'm here, right? And I love when this is like a real life conversation with you guys, which is what I love. Like, if I'm anxious about anything, I call you guys and you guys lift me up, and that's huge. So before we get to the takeaways of this chat, I want to remind people, whoever's watching on Facebook, go ahead and buy a ticket. The link is in the comments. Anybody watching in the hub, if you feel like a friend needs this and they're hesitant to pull the trigger, buy them a ticket. It's freaking $29. Let's change some lives. And yes, I'm shamelessly plugging for probably the first time in my life, so go buy a freaking ticket. And I can't wait to see you guys there. Look, you buy a ticket, you get 15% off any merch that you buy as well. More plugging. Growth Now Apparel, buy some merch, use the code. Once you get in the virtual hub, you'll see the code, and you'll get 15% off any of the merch. And then beyond that,
you should do that, right? I'll do the plugging for a second. Is the only way that these things continue to happen are when we invest, like Cash Money, Uncle Visa, Cousin MasterCard. When we pull those things out and support the things we believe in. And that's been a huge lesson of this year. And I've done that with local businesses. If I want the barbecue place that I go to every day to be there when this is over, I need to give them money. And the same thing goes for our online entrepreneur friends. If you want Growth Now Movement 2021 to happen, you need to support this. And I think that's a great idea, man. If rather than tagging people, get online and buy a ticket for someone and say, I'm doing this weekend. You're coming with me, and don't give people an option.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Terry, thank you.
And you could tip. I mean, Justin has a Venmo. You could tip, man, if you're getting good value on this. He's way underpriced.
No. Look, it's not about the money, as I said before. But here's the important part, right? Like, here's the massive takeaways that we've all discussed. All three of us have really brought to the table during this conversation. And here's the key, right? If you only watch anything, watch this. Number one, give unconditionally. When you feel like you have nothing, give more. And I'm going to share an example. I have a dear friend who had a heart attack yesterday who texted me after the heart attack. He was in the hospital, still in the hospital. He's going to go for surgery today at noon. So I ask all of you to send great vibes to my friend who's going through this. But he texted me after his heart attack and apologized that he couldn't be here to be a part of this event as an attendee, and then said, go crush it. The man just had a heart attack, and that's what he did. That's how you deliver. That's how you make an impression. Don't have a heart attack. Just over-deliver beyond belief. And that is when people are going to really remember you forever. So please send good vibes to my friend. I don't want to out him on the internet, so just send good vibes his way. We've also learned that bad opportunities create great opportunities, or bad situations create great opportunities. So go out there and create your opportunity. Use this event as the catalyst for the greatness that you're going to create in the world. And more importantly, surround yourself constantly with the right people. As you can see in this little trifecta in the screen, I feel blessed to be here. I hope they feel blessed to be here. And I'm honored that anybody wants to show up and take part in anything that I do. So thank you guys. I will see you all at 1 p.m. Eastern time today to officially kick off the rest of the event. So make sure you get your ticket if you haven't yet, and we'll see you guys soon. Guys, say goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you guys for hopping on.
It's been fun.
Go bring value to somebody today.
Love it. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Growth Now movement. This is how you can really help me out. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please share it out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And let's grow this movement to epic heights. And it's all going to be because of you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.